Good day, everybody. Welcome to our Genesis class live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg of the Noahide World Center. It's always a joy to be here. I enjoy this class. He's been sharing some profound insights with us. I love last week's class. If you haven't caught it, find it in the YouTube streams and check it out. Today he's going to share what does God want from us, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to share. So let's just break right in and see how the rabbi's doing today. Shalom,
Good.
Rabbi. You are live on social media. We're going to turn the class over to you and look forward to hearing what you have to share.
Excellent. Good evening, Dan. Good evening, everybody from all over the world. Good to see you. Some people came from a long time ago. It's also always great to see everybody, those who are managing to attend the class and to be with us. Let's jump straight ahead aside. I'm sorry for the lateness. I have technical problems lately with my Zoom. Maybe we need to change platform. I don't know. We managed. This is the most important thing. So let's straight ahead dive inside. I hope everybody is fine. I don't know if you've heard. I will say a few words maybe. We have a difficult time in Jerusalem. We're getting a lot of attacks against life, against the Hebrew people, with the Palestinian people. On the other side, last week we spoke about the importance of life. And it's really amazing to see how the world took, responsibility, I will say, and straight ahead went to help the Turkish people and also in Syria to find life. Unfortunately, we lost almost 30,000 people in few seconds. It's amazing to think about
Turkey
this.
and Syria, it's sad. Natural disaster, though.
Yes, it's unbelievable. On the other side, the world is normal. They went and they managed and they seeked and everybody sent delegations to try to find life. So I think it's giving also a lot of hope.
Rabbi, our Turkish friend Lara, I was chatting with her the other day, and her sister and their family are homeless because of the earthquake, but they're all right. And she did have one in a Turkish Noahide class that passed away. So sad. Just tragic.
Yes, it is. It is a bit in a sad situation. It's very hard. And we don't really control the nature. Nature. And I'm saying this more than once, nature laws, this is what we call the din. What is din? Din is a judgment.
Strict judgment, yeah. A
strict judgment, exactly. You can't really decide. If you want to get rescued from an earthquake or something like that, you need to be outside. It won't help you to be righteous. It's not working on the level of morality. It's working on the level of
if a big
nature.
Boulder rolls on you, you're just as squashed as somebody who's unrighteous.
Exactly. And this is what we call the din, the strict, the hard judgment. And this is how what we're speaking about in chapter 1 of Genesis, that God created the world with a strict judgment. Okay, the laws of nature are strict judgment. When a tsunami, God forbid, is coming, so the only way that you will be able to get rescued is if you know how to swim. If you don't know how to swim, you won't be able to have any rescue, and also then you need a bit of luck. But this is where things are very strict with the laws of nature. On the other side, and this is one of the things that we saw when the Hebrew nation went out from Egypt, there's also another, I will say, way how God is working in this world, and this is related with the mercy side, with the
Rachamim.
What we call in Hebrew Midat Rachamim, very nice, and that we are. It's also related to our behavior, and here we are coming to the question of tonight. Again, I can show a few emails, and I'm getting almost, I think, every week we're getting a few emails about this. I will say it like that. People are asking, if to do conversion, and they want to become Jewish, and people are asking what exactly God is asking us to do and how to behave, and people are nominating or showing us all sorts of books and things like that. So I want to clarify these ones, and the best way of doing that is learning something inside. Now, in a moment, after we will learn it a bit, I'm going to connect this also to Genesis and also to the things that we read yesterday. You know what? Let's start from things that we read yesterday. I think that you all know. Let me share the screen. I think that we all know. Screen. I think that we all know the parsha of yesterday. Yesterday, when the Hebrew nation read the parsha, we got the 10 Commandments. This is basically, it's in Exodus chapter 20. This is the 10 Commandments, okay, where God showed himself in front of all of us. Chapter 19 is all the preparation. But we are reading every year from chapter 18. What happened in chapter 18? What happened? Do you remember what happened there? I think that some of the people also read it yesterday. Angela and Mike.
Yitro is a chapter Yitro?
Exactly. Chapter 18 is Jethro. And also the name of the Parsha of this week was Jethro. Okay. I want to remind us all, he is not a Jewish person. He is not a Hebrew person. He is a priest, okay, of a different nationality. It's true that the Midian nationality is coming also from the destiny of Abraham. I can show this. It's at the end.
From Lot, right?
Not from Lot. Not from Lot. From Abraham himself. You know what? Let's show this also. Just a moment. I will show this also. So we'll remind ourselves where exactly we see that. It's a chapter. It's a Genesis chapter 24, if I remember correctly. If not, we'll manage to find it. Yeah. You see. Please read the first two verses.
And Abraham took another wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran and Jokshan and Medan and Median and Jishbak and Shua.
Midian is one of the kids of Abraham. So when we're speaking about the main priest of Midian, okay, he was also part of the destiny of Abraham. Even though we know that Abraham sent them away, they are not the main kids of Abraham. Isaac is the main kid of Abraham, not them. But Midian is also part of Abraham, the destiny. This is why Moses went there. He said to himself, okay, if the continuous of this world is not from the Egyptians who are using the Hebrew nation as slaves, and it's not from the Hebrew because he was disappointed from the Hebrew in their behavior, so maybe in Midian, destiny of Abraham, it will continue the rest of the world. And by the way, also, Jethro taught Moses how to become a prophet. To become a prophet is something that you need to learn from someone. And Jethro knew how to do that because he was also part of the destiny of Abraham. So on the Parsha that we're speaking about, the 10 Commandments, it's so important that everybody is standing at shul usually when we're reading this, only this part. We have two parts that everybody is standing. But when we're speaking about this thing of the 10 Commandments, the Parsha, the name of the Parsha is under or is after someone who is not a Jewish person. He was a Noahide. Okay, let's say it like that. We need to understand.
But did he convert it?
He never converted. No, it's not. He never converted. It's also written down here in our Parsha, at the end of the Parsha. Please read verse number 27.
27. Moses saw his father-in-law off, and he went away to his land.
That's it. He never converted. He never accepted any conversion. He was an Noahide.
There you go.
Okay, he wasn't. And the Parsha of the 10 Commandments is after someone who is a Noahide. Yes, Alexandra.
But why they call him Yitro a ger, first ger, like first convert? In some midrash they call him a ger, a convert.
I don't know this midrash. Maybe you can show me. Okay.
Okay, I will find,
Not a
this
problem. Not a
midrash.
problem. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'll write.
The only thing that they're saying that he was the first one to acknowledge. I will say it like that. Listen good. This is a very important story. Okay, if you mention this, I will say this. Just a moment. Let me see. It is. Please read verse number 1, Dan.
Number 1. Now Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, the chieftain of Midian, heard all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, that the Lord had taken Israel out of Egypt.
So
Moses' father.
Don't read more. Just a moment. First of all, let's understand what's happening here. He heard that the Hebrew nation went out from Egypt. Fair enough? Only he heard it. All the world heard this, right? So what is the difference between him and all of the rest of the world? That he did an action. His action was that he went to those people, that God took them out. And he's also saying, okay, saying at the continuous of this thing. Please read here. 10 and 11, please.
10 and 11. Thereupon Jethro said, Blessed is the Lord who has rescued you from the hands of the Egyptians and from the hand of Pharaoh, who has rescued the people from beneath the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all deities, for with the thing that they plotted, he came upon them.
They said to the Hebrew nation, let's throw them to the water, that they will die there. And at the end, the Egyptians themselves also got the same punishment from God. So he's saying that he is the most greatest God that I ever knew or realized. The main thing that I want to say, that all of the world saw that the Hebrew nation went out from Egypt. I know that because of the song that the Hebrew people sung, and also we see this in the beginning of Joshua, that everybody knew that the Hebrew people went out from Egypt. But there is only one person who did an action and decided to himself that he needs to change a bit in his life. It's the same thing that we have today, okay? All of the world can see that the Hebrew nation did redemption and came out and built up a new country after 2,000 years of exile. But how many people really are changing their way of life? Okay? Those who are sitting in this room are changing their way of life. So we have those people that are like Jethro. You can clap on your hair and your shoulders and say to yourself, hippie parade. Very good, all of you. But it's true, okay? Everybody see a lot of things. The question is who is also changing a bit. But the most important thing that Jethro is teaching us before we accepting the 10 Commandments, he is giving the structure of the judgment of the Hebrew nation, right? He is teaching Moses. It's also amazing because Moses knew those things. I want to remind us all that he grew up in the palace of Pharaoh. So he knew all the structure of judgments, but Jethro is convincing him to organize the judgment of the Hebrew nation. He is not dealing with the inside, what exactly Moses is going to teach them, but he is speaking with the structure of the things. So Jethro, I will say it like that, we cannot accept the 10 Commandments and the Torah without any partnership of the Noahide of the world in those days. And the partnership of the Noahide is that they're giving us the relationship between man and his fellow men. This is the basic, and on top of this, we can also have the Torah. We can accept the 10 Commandments. Again, I will say this sentence again because this is the most important sentence. In a moment, we're going to speak about this a bit more. We're going to drill inside to this thing. To accept the Torah, it's the divine code of God. God is going to speak with us. We need to have some sort of a premises of something that we stable, that only on top of this we can accept the Torah, the divine code. And the premises, the first step is how to behave one with each other. And this we are learning not from God. We are learning from the Noahide around us. It is so important to have also partnership with people who are not only from the Hebrew nation. Starting to realize what's happening here. And this is why we're combining this together in the same parsha, in the same part of the week. It's starting with Jethro and continuing with the Ten Commandments. We won't be able to have the Ten Commandments without some sort of a normal behavior that is already in this world. And only after that we can accept the divine code. And those things that are already in this world are not specifically only in the Hebrew nation. They are in the righteous people in this world. Okay? The same thing is also happening today, nowadays. We are going to get once again, okay, hopefully very soon, the prophecy, but we can't have this stage without a group of, I will say, of Noahides who are already inside also this thing. And only on top of this, the Hebrew nation will be able to also go to the other step and also to have the prophecy and everywhere else. You need to understand that you're part of a big movement of God coming back to this world, starting to speak again with the world. It's the same thing. Now, let me go inside to the things that I said before, that what exactly God is demanding from us. And for learning that, I want to teach from the Maimonides. Before I'm going to the Maimonides, let me say a few words, and then I will share the screen again, and we're going to learn something from the Maimonides. The Maimonides, he was living 850 years ago, something like that. He was a very big doctor to the king of Egypt in his days. It's also amazing. We're going back to the Egyptians. He was living in Egypt. He was a very known and famous doctor. He healed people. And he wrote down two great books, two really great books. That part of a book, one was 1,000 chapters. It's called the Yad HaChazaka, the Maimonides, with all of the laws of the oral laws of the Hebrew nation. And Herbert, I'm sure that you remember that when we met lately in the Czech Republic, okay, in Prague, I showed that the beginning of the book and the end of the book, he is demanding from us to learn who is God. Remember that? This is the beginning and the end of the book. The beginning of the book is starting that we need to learn who is God. And the end of the book is saying that at the end of the days, in the Messiah days, we're going to sit down and to look and to learn who is God, to have connection with God. Fair enough. And all the things inside are teaching us how to get related with God. But he also wrote another book. It's called Moreh HaNevuchim. Okay, the guidance for those who are in a maze. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to understand God. And this book, also philosophers from the world, not Jewish philosophers, used this book to learn it. And it's one of the most amazing books that we have. And he's explaining a lot of ideas how to get related with God and what is God and whatever it is. It's a very philosophical book and very deep, very profound book. Fair enough. And I want us to learn the last 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs of this book. Okay? After he's finishing all the explanations about how to get related with God, who is God, how we can understand him, how we can connect with him. No, he's not explaining the connection. He's explaining the knowledge of God. We'll call it like that. Okay, he's saying these words, the knowledge of God. Okay, after explaining all of this, he's finalizing the book with the 2 verses that he's bringing from Micha. Now I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to read it step by step. And please don't be amazed, but this is amazing. I will say idea how the Maimonides is explaining to us what to do and how to what exactly to do. So let's go step by step. First of all, let's read for a moment. I'm going to read the Hebrew verse and then you will read the English one. Can you see it? Everything is fine. Yes? Everybody can see it? Let me maybe put it a bit more bigger. It is. We'll go step by step. Everybody can see this, yes? Excellent. I'm going to read the Hebrew one, you will read the English one. Okay, those are first of all, the two verses from Jeremiah. כה אמר אדוני, אל יתהלל חכם בחוכמתו, ואל יתהלל הגיבור בגבורתו, ואל יתהלל עשיר ביושרו. Please read the first verse.
Thus says the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might, let not the rich man glory in his riches.
So we're speaking about three dimensions, okay? The wise, the mighty, and the rich. Those are three very important things. Don't glory yourself with those things. Let's say it like that. So what is? כי אם בזאת יתהלל המתהלל, השכל בידו אותי. כי אני אדוני עושה חסד, משפט וצדקה בארץ, כי באלה חפצתי נאום אדוני. Please read the continuous.
But let him that glories glory in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord who exercises faithful love, justice, and righteousness in the earth, for in these things I delight, says the Lord.
Those are the verses. Now let's read slowly, step by step, the Maimonides to understand how he is reading those verses. Again, this is the end of the book. You will see it. You see when I'm going back, this is the end of the book. You see it's finishing. Please, first of all, read the last paragraph that he's saying.
Hashem is near to all who call him, if they call him in truth and turn to him. He is found by everyone who seeks him, if he continuously goes towards him and never goes astray. Amen.
Those are the last words of this book. And again, this book, as you can see, is not speaking about the Hebrew people. It speaks about all of the people of the world, right? I don't see any restriction that the Maimonides is writing here. By the way, also the verses are not speaking about only the Hebrew people. The verse is also speaking about all of the people of the world. Don't rise yourself too much with the false things, rise yourself with the main things. So let's read for a moment, step by step, exactly what the Maimonides is writing. Let's start with part number one. This is it. Just a moment, let me put it in the right place on the screen. And please, yes.
All right. Having stated the sublime ideas contained in that scriptural passage and quoted the explanation of our sages, we will now complete what the remainder of that passage teaches us. The prophet does not content himself with explaining that the knowledge of God is the highest kind of perfection, for if this only had been his intention, he would have said, but in this let him who glorieth glory, that he understands and know me, and would have stopped there. Or he would have said that he understands and know me, that I am one, or that I have not any likeness, or that there is none like me, or a similar phrase. He says, however, that man can only glory in the knowledge of God and in the knowledge of his ways and attributes, which are his actions, as we have shown in part 1 in expounding the passage. Show me now thy ways, from Exodus 38:13. We are thus told in this passage that the divine acts which ought to be known and ought to serve as our guide for our actions are chesed, loving kindness, mishpat, judgment, and tzedakah, righteousness.
So he's saying something amazing. After he's teaching us in a full book, it's with the three parts, and each part has something like 80, 70, chapters. And it's very hard chapters to understand and to read. And he's saying all of those chapters are teaching us that God is one, that God is not with the body, okay, that he is spiritual thing, that that you need to understand him, you need to realize those things. Now he's saying at the end of the book, he's saying, don't think that this is the most important thing. This is not what God is asking us. God is asking us to do something else. He's asking us to do loving kindness, what we call mishpat. Chesed, loving kindness, mishpat, judgment, and tzedakah, righteousness. So God, the Maimonides is saying, after we read all of this book, now you understand that God is one. Now you understand how to get close to God. Mindly, this is not the main thing that God is asking us to do. He's asking us to do something else. But The Maimonides is even more, I will say, hard than what we see here. Let's continue on the second part. Okay. Another fundamental lesson.
Another fundamental lesson is taught by the additional phrase, in the earth. It implies a fundamental principle of the law. It rejects the theory of those who boldly assert that God's providence does not extend below the sphere of the moon and that the earth with its contents is abandoned. That the Lord has forsaken the earth, Ezekiel 8:12. It teaches, as has been taught by the greatest of all wise men in the words, the earth is the Lord's. That is, providence extends to the earth by its nature, in the same manner as it controls the heavens in accordance with their nature. This is expressed in the words that I am the Lord, which exercises loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. The prophet, in conclusion,
just
says,
a moment. Let's stop for here for a moment, okay? First of all, he's taking an example from the Exodus 9. Exodus 9 is where the pledges is being given on the Egyptians. And one of the things that God is saying, I'm inside the earth. I'm not like Aristotle said, God is only above, only on the moon side, and he's not coming to this area. No, I'm also inside here, this earth, and not up there, only in heaven. And therefore, we will continue on. I want that you will do things inside the earth. Now, please continue to read it. The prophet thus is conclusion says, please.
The prophet thus in conclusion says, for in these things I delight, saith the Lord. My object in saying this is that you shall practice loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. Similarly, we have shown in part 1 that the object of the enumeration of God's 13 attributes is the lesson that we should acquire similar attributes and act accordingly. The thing of the above passage is therefore to declare that the perfection in which man can genuinely glory is attained by him when he has acquired, as far as this is possible for a man, the knowledge of God, the knowledge of his providence, and of how it influences his creatures in their production and continued existence. Having acquired this knowledge, he will always be determined to seek loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness, and thus imitate Hashem's ways. We have explained this many times in this treatise.
But he's saying, be focused, be focused. The main thing that God wants is that we will follow his steps and behave in a way of kindness, loving, judgment, and all those 13 things that God also taught Moses. And this is why it's written down. Don't get confused from this book, okay? Don't get confused from this book by only acknowledging God in a spiritual side. Now I became such a spiritual person, so I know a lot of things, my knowledge in my heart, whatever it is. No, God is not asking us to be only spiritual people. God is asking us to behave in the earth in this way, okay, with those things. Let's continue a bit more. Read part 3 for a moment, and then I will show this again in the verses, please.
Part 3. This is all I thought proper to discuss in this treatise, which I consider helpful for men like you. I hope that, with the help of Hashem, you will, after due reflection, comprehend all the things which I have treated here.
Okay, so he's concluding the book. Now, I'm going back, and I'm showing this again. When God is saying in Jeremiah, don't get glory with yourself about your wisdom, about your mighty, being mighty, about you being, real, rich. But the main thing that I want is that you will do all those things of righteousness and kindness and judgment. And how is he saying it? Okay. In the earth, I'm going to show this, okay? In the earth, not only in the earth, I'm saying you to do that. Okay, let me put it here. Because this is those are the things that I want. Those are the main things that I want. And the conclusion of this thing is that I want to show something again that we showed more than once, but I'm going to show this, okay? We showed this more than once this thing. We know that we have 3 dimensions with each person in this world. Okay, one is between man and himself, man and God, and man with the world. We spoke about this more than once, and we showed that the laws of the Noahide are being doubled. We'll call it like that. Okay, we have the knowledge of God and the laws of bliss, laws of not cursing God. Okay, not blaspheming God. This is between man and God. We have the preservation of human life. We said it. No, sorry. Let's go for the family and the eating limb of a live animal. It's between man and himself. Okay, the family is husband and wife. This time, this woman is blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. So it's one part of the family. It's with me, and eating a limb of a live animal is also something that is related with my having the basic things of all the how to behave. Okay, I'm not an animal. I know how to stop for a moment. And the most important thing is between man and his friends. And this is not to kill someone and not to steal. Okay, the laws against robbery also. So we have those 3 things. And the most important thing is to realize that we cannot accept the 10 commandments of the Torah without having some sort of premises, what we saw with the Jethro, that is coming before we getting the Torah, before we accepting the Torah from God, before we accepting the 10 commandments, and he's giving us, we'll say, the structure of how to behave man with himself. The most important part of the, I will say, the Hebrew understanding in our life is how man is behaving with his fellow man. This is the most important thing, and this is what we saw with what the Maimonides is saying at the end. There is a verse, we all know this verse. I'm jumping back to the verses, okay? I'm jumping back. There's a verse that we all know it. It's written down in Leviticus, is how we call it, right? Leviticus 19. There is a verse here that is saying, it says like that, you should love your neighbor as you love yourself. I am the Lord, I'm God, right? Now here, in this specific, I will say, translation, there's a dot here. You should love your neighbor as you love yourself. And then I'm also God. Who said that the dot is here? Let's move the dot for a moment, okay? Let's move the dot. You should love your neighbor, dot. And in the Hebrew, it's going very good, okay, what I'm going to say now. You should love your neighbor. Remember that as you yourself going to behave to your neighbor, I'm God, I'm going to behave with you. You see what I did? I moved the dot. Instead of putting the dot here, after the word yourself, I'm moving the dot here. You should love your neighbor. And I'm putting the dot here, you see? And now, God is saying to you, as you'll behave with your neighbor, I will behave with you. This is how the Hebrew nation is reading. One of the ways that we are reading this verse. Ve'ahavta l'reacha. You love your neighbor. Kamocha ani Hashem. Like you will behave with your neighbor, I will behave with you. God is saying to you. The main judgment that we have in our world, I will say we have 3 eras in the world, okay? The first era was the first 3 chapters of the Bible where men and Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. They were supposed to hold a relationship between man and God. God obeyed them not to eat from the forbidden tree, and they ate from the tree and not in the right way. Therefore, God kicked them out from Eden. Now, in our world today, until the Messiah will come fully, okay, or when God will return back and speak with the person, with people, and will bring back the prophecy. Until this time, God is judging us through the way that we behave one with each other. It starts with Cain and Abel. What happened to Cain and Abel? It didn't work. Since then, we have only fights. Only fights. Till today. We unfortunately, okay, we are finalizing now a year of a war between Russia and Ukraine. Why? No reason. How many people are suffering? How many people are, why? Why? Instead of that, let's take all the money, the efforts, the people, the soldiers, whatever it is, and bring more food to people who don't have food. We don't really have an explanation. Why? But since Cain and Abel, we are not managing to fix up the world with a relationship between one with each other. At the end of the days, when God will bring back the prophecy, it will be, the judgment will be between man and himself. But I won't go inside to this. This is another, it will take time. First of all, the prophecy is supposed to come back. At this point of time, God is judging us. God is behaving with us and the way that we're behaving one with each other. And you know why? And this is related also to the things that we spoke last week. It's because each one of us have the image of God inside. Regardless the color of his skin, regardless the nation that he was grown up, regardless, if he's a woman or man or female, regardless anything, And the moment that he is standing on the consciousness that he understands what he's doing, usually in the Filipinos, it could be 17 years old, and in the Canadian, the Canadian environment, it will be 24, 25 years old, okay? It's taking them a bit more time. They're a bit more slow there, the Canadian people. Not only them, all the Western world, a bit slow with this thing. But from the moment that everyone is standing, I will say, in the right conscience, that he has the responsibility not to take life from someone else, the judgment is how are you treating your neighbor? Are you treating it in the right way? And this is the first and the most important thing, okay, that God is demanding from us. Now, those who are all the time running or going or trying only to be on the spiritual level, it's nice, but this is not the main part in this world. Okay? After 120 years, for each one of you, blessing you to a very long life, we will be only a spiritual somewhere in the way, close to God. After 120 years. Now, I'm not saying it is good to pray to God. It is also good to do a few spiritual things. I'm not saying not to do them at all, but to have the balance. And the most important thing here, as the verses are saying, okay, is a relation between man and his fellow man. People are getting, it's all wrong. And then people are asking us, but we want to do the Shabbat. Now, I want to say again, I'm going to say this again. The truth is that we're holding, like a lot of rabbis till now, and also live rabbis that we have, that a Noahide can keep a full Shabbat. Now, I'm asking you, okay, you don't need to do that. And I'm sure that it's also very hard. If I will ask Angela and Mike, okay, England, so there's somewhere there in England, you're not in London, right? I remember correctly. You're not in Manchester, you're not in London. You don't have any environment, okay, of a full Shabbat of the Jewish people. You don't need to keep the Shabbat. I'm not saying not to do few important things, okay, to light the candles of the Shabbat, to state that you understand that you agree that God created the world in 6 days and didn't do this in the seventh day. Fair enough. To have a good meal, on the Shabbat with your family, with your friends, fair enough. To put the device aside, fair enough. To keep a full Shabbat, you don't need to keep a full Shabbat. So people are saying to us, but we want to have a spiritual feeling. I'm not saying, it's a big issue to keep a full Shabbat. If you really want to do that, you can do that. But I'm asking, is it reasonable to do something like that in some sort of a place very far from all the Jewish communities like in some place in England or some place in the United States, or I don't know, wherever it is. Don't try to find, things that are very far from you when you can do very good things in your neighbors for your neighborhood. Instead of that, under the Shabbat, after you're lighting the candles, after you're eating the good meal with your family, and you put all the devices aside, and you're speaking one with each other, and you're learning something about the Torah, on the Saturday morning, find the people who have no homelesses, okay, and give them food. Go there and speak with them. You know how many people of those people who are homelesses are just seeking to speak with someone? You don't need even to invite them to your place, okay? Don't go so far. I'm not asking everybody to become such a, in a situation like that.
Rabbi, so this comes down to the difference between chesed and tzedakah, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So for me, that's a difficult thing. When people think tzedakah's owed to them, chesed may be a social mores, but tzedakah, is never an obligation, right? It's.
I agree with you. The tzedakah is more showing also. You're more than right. Again, everybody needs to put his lines, but the main point that I want to say is that the way that we live, okay, in the Jewish world along the history, is not trying only to find how can I, in a personal level, can be more spiritual related with God. Okay? It's more trying to realize that God is demanding from us to behave in the right way one with each other. And I will give an example, a very simple example, how to imitate God, okay? Very simple. And the main thing, and the Maimonides explained that, okay, to imitate God. Let me go for a moment to Genesis, okay? Let's go to chapter 3 in Genesis. Look for a moment, look for something very simple that God is doing. We have Adam and Eve. God told them not to eat from the tree of knowledge, and they ate from the tree of knowledge. So God is very upset with them, and he's deciding to kick them out from Eden. Now, does God owe them anything? Does he need to do to them anything? No, they disobeyed him. Go out, go away from me. I don't want to see you anymore. Let's see for a moment what God is doing before he's kicking them out, okay? Before he's sending them out. Let's read verse number 21.
21, and the Lord God made for Adam and for his wife shirts of skin, and he dressed them.
Why? He's not, look for a moment, think for ourselves, okay? You have a young child, okay, in the age of 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, and you're asking him to do something, and he's very naughty. He's doing the opposite. He's also filtering all the place of your place, and you're saying to them, go out. And go out, take also a candy, and organize yourself, and then go out. Why God's supposed to give them, a dress? Why he's supposed to dress them? If you more than that, before that, we saw that the Adam and Eve managed to realize that they are naked. So what are they doing? Just a moment.
Hiding.
Before the hiding is in verse number 8. Let's read for a moment verse number 7, please. Dan?
7, and the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves and made themselves girdles.
So they have already clothing, right? So why God's supposed to give them clothing? But this is the kindness of God. Okay? Even though I'm upset with that you did anything, I have a partnership with you. Again, we see. So those who don't have, clothes, those who don't have places to live, those who don't, we have a lot of ways how to give for those who do have the possibility. It could be also not with those who giving money. It also could be with warm words, to speak with those people or whatever it is. I'm not saying to do only those things. What I'm saying is that the most important thing is not only to think only on a spiritual level and to think for myself and all those things. The main way of acting in the right way in this world is a question of how do I behave with the people next to me, nearby me, okay? It starts also with my neighbors, with my simple neighbors, okay? I have neighbors. We can do once a month, some sort of a barbecue together in the afternoon in the Sunday afternoon, okay? We can do, have some sort of a meeting to discuss all sorts of ideas or do whatever it is. Not even to speak too much about Noahide. You can speak about Noahide, okay? I'm not saying not to speak about Noahide, but you can also discuss other things. What is the relationship that we have one with each other? The main thing, okay, the premises that the Torah is coming, it's coming only after Jethro is coming, and we have the relationship we run with each other. Starting to realize what's happening. Yes, Italo.
You say that we can keep the Shabbat. What do you mean? Do you mean to honor the Shabbat, or do you mean to all the laws of Shabbat? Because I have the understanding that you're not supposed that the Shabbat is for the Jewish people. So I would like to understand what you mean.
We said it once. I will say this again. There are two sides of the Shabbat. Okay, there's a side of actions, and there's a side of what not to do. Okay, it says, it's very clear. I'll share the screen for a moment. I will show this. We have the Ten Commandments twice. Okay, the first time that we have the Ten Commandments is what we read yesterday. So it's in Exodus chapter 20. Let's read it for a moment, one sentence from there. Okay. Okay. So we have here. Gadan, please read verse number 8.
8. Remember the Sabbath day to sanctify it.
Okay. So 6 days we're working, and the seventh day we're not. What is your remember? What is the meaning of remember? Doing an action, a positive action. Okay. And why do we need to remember the Sabbath? Let's read for a moment verse number 11.
For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and sanctified it.
The reason that is written down here is related only for the Jewish people, also for non-Jewish people. This reason. Italo.
For everybody.
For everybody. So everybody is supposed to remember the Shabbat. How can we remember the Shabbat? Light the candles before the Shabbat, okay? To remember the Shabbat. Do something that you will remember the Shabbat. There is another place where it says like that, in a different way. Let's look for a moment in Deuteronomy, chapter 5. Let's see for a moment. Also the Ten Commandments are there. Now, please read here. Done?
12. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord your God commanded you.
Here we need to avoid a lot of things, not to do them, not to do all sorts of things, because we need to keep the Shabbat. It's not remember the Shabbat, it's to keep the Shabbat, avoiding a lot of things, okay? For example, not to light the fire. Now let's see the reason what is written down here. Please read verse number 15.
15. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord your God took you out from there with a strong hand and with an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to observe the Sabbath day.
To whom is this referring? To the whole of the
that
world?
is only to the Hebrew people.
To the Hebrew people. So there is a part of the Shabbat that is related to the Hebrew people, and there is a part of the Shabbat that is related to everybody. Okay? So the part of the Shabbat that is related to everybody, a lot of things that you can do. Now, if you, as a Noahide, want to do or keep a full Shabbat, you can do that. But again, Italo, are you in an environment of the Jewish community where you can start to keep the Shabbat in the way that the Jewish people are keeping the Shabbat? You're not obligated for that. You can do that, but it's really hard. Believe me, it's very tough. It's not a very simple thing. So on one side, the Shabbat is also related to non-Jewish people. On the other side, there is much more stricted to the Jewish people to keep the Shabbat with a lot of things. So, halachically, in a formalic way, you can keep a full Shabbat. On the other side, we're not asking, okay, from everybody to do this thing in this way, okay, in this way. So now we're starting to realize that it's a bit more complicated than just yes or no. The story here is much more colorful.
Why can't we keep a full Shabbat? That part I don't understand.
I'm saying. There is a debate between the sages of Israel. We are holding with a lot of sages of Israel that Noahide can keep a full Shabbat. We are not recommending to do that. That's it. They're very clear what I'm saying. If you want to keep a full Shabbat, you can do that. We are recommending to the Noahide people not to do that. Why? Because it's very, very hard thing to do. Also for the Jewish people, it's not so easy to keep a full Shabbat. Okay? So when they're in the environment and everything else. So we're saying we're not, again, halachically, there are those who are saying you're not allowed, like Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. We're holding like the Khatam Sofer and others that you can keep a full Shabbat. We are not recommending to do that. On the other side, to remember the Shabbat, to do things for the Shabbat.
Yeah, to do it differently, to make it different day, to make resting day.
Exactly.
For me, what I'm doing on Shabbat, I'm reading Tehillim for sick people. I'm trying, to pray for other people, like for my children, for whoever, prayer, reading Torah,
And you can also, and you can also do things that are related with the neighbors.
Yeah. If it's there on the way, yes. Exactly. But I took upon myself not to drive on Shabbat.
Fair enough. It's okay.
Yeah.
For Rabbi Hirschler, I saw Rabbi Hirschler for a moment. No, he was here. He went out. Okay, fair enough. I will finalize everything that we said here. Okay. We are all, I will say it like that, we are all as a human being in a different than the animals. The animals are concentrated very much inside the ground, okay? The head is very inside the ground. We as human being, we can stand up and we can also look on the skies. Therefore, we have some sort of a spiritual side in ourselves. And a lot of people are getting confused when they think that they're becoming a Noahide, or when they're looking very much to the spiritual, it's a spiritual trend, I will say it like that. And a lot of times people are losing the balance, I will call it like that, between the spiritual side and that we are here in this world.
Material.
If we will stay, yes, but I'm saying that the material side is not to be only on the material side, but we are here in this world because we are also being judged, I will say it like that. God is also looking on how we are relating one with each other. And this is teaching God how he wants to relate with us. Because the main judgment of us is not on the spiritual side that we're putting to ourselves with all of the relationship that we have with God. Not less than that, God is also wants us to behave in the right way, one with each other. It's very important. And this is what we saw in the verses of what I brought, okay? In the verses at the end of the book of Moreh Nevuchim, that God is asking us, or he's saying to us, that the main thing that he is looking, not, to become very smart, very wise, or very strong, or something like that. He wants us to like him, to know him, but the understanding of knowing him is how exactly he is doing exercise in this world, okay? He is giving clothing to Adam and Eve, even though they sinned, okay? He gave them clothes. And he's asking us to behave in this way in the earth, because those are the things that he is looking mainly that we will behave in those days. And this is the most important thing. So now we'll go back to the Brit Shalom book, and you will see there are a lot of things there that are written down. But at the end of the book, in the last few chapters, we're giving more additional things. And those additional things, most of them are not related only with the spiritual side, but more with the relationship with our friends, with our people,
With each
our
other.
neighbors, with each other. Because this is the main, I will say, the hardcore, the main part of the Jewish,
What
or
Hashem
Hebrew,
wants, yeah.
what Hashem wants here and what the Hebrew people are saying all the time. And if you will see, now I'm saying something that from the world, okay, that we have today. I'm sure that you've heard that the Hebrew people are some sort of a startup nation, okay? And a lot of, almost for all of the 500 Fortune, okay, those big companies, they have in Israel some sort of a group of people that they're paying the money, that they're doing a lot of the researches here in Israel. And one of the main parts that the Israeli people took out is also related with a lot of ideas that are related with medicine to the world, how to bring more life to the world. This is the most important thing of the Hebrew nation. And we spoke about this last week, the life, the understanding of life. What is life?
Yeah,
Okay.
the importance, sure.
And how to bring more life to the world. And
Yeah,
this
which,
is one of
yeah,
them.
in the face of overpopulation, seems like helping the problem rather than resolving any issue, yet the Hebrew people stay true to their calling.
And on the same level, this is the second side of it, or the second part of it, okay? How to help others, and how to bring more kindness, love, and bring more happiness to the world. Those are the main points. So I'm not saying, we need to remember the Shabbat, we need to do things with God, related with God. But this is what he's asking us to do.
It's how we deal with one another, for sure. For me, Rabbi, I think today's class, you really helped me understand that there is a distinct difference between Chesed and Tzedakah. And, for me, it's always been a troubling point. I've always seen just loving kindness or judgment. It's either one or the other. And a question of what is righteousness has to be understood in the mix and the way it plays out. But to see it distinct, yeah.
Fair enough. If there are more questions, I have another few minutes.
Do you think I have one?
Yes. Oh, yes. Hi, Jacob. Yes, Nathan also raised up his hand, so I don't know what happened here. Yes, Jacob. Yes, please.
I have two questions actually. The first is: do you think that Bnei Noach should have a tzedakah box in their home?
I think it's a very important thing, and it's a very good thing to do, because the tzedakah is bringing a person outside of him. And he's also, there is a verse that is saying that all the money, basically God created all the money and he owns everything. So if you're giving tzedakah, you're showing God that you understand that all is his and he is living by you part of it. And more that you're giving tzedakah, God will give you more to be in the right way. I think it's a very important thing.
Tzedakah boxes. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
it's
very
my
good.
tzedakah. It's a good tzedakah boxes. I think because of this mitzvah of tzedakah, I was saved so many times by Hashem, It's amazing, the things that happened to me,
Excellent. I think it's very important. I think that tzedakah, it's really one of the most important things. Yes. Thank you, Jacob, for that. And also, Alexandra. Yes. What is your second question, please?
My second question is, and was the point you made that Yitro taught Moshe about one of these attributes?
He taught Moses how to, he built up the structure of the judgment of the Hebrew nation. So basically, he was, I will say, some sort of an alien to Moses, okay? God is accepting this idea. And all of the judgment structure of the Hebrew nation is being built up, like Jethro taught us. Now, Jethro wasn't the Jewish person, wasn't the Hebrew person, he wasn't going out from Egypt, okay? But there is I will say, the foundation, that only on top of this foundation we can accept the divine code, okay? They're getting from God something. Then God also will put inside a lot of, I will say, insight to the judgment, okay, that we're going to read next parsha. But again, Jethro gave us the structure of the relationship between one and each other, the judgment.
It's
Also
interesting.
today, it's very important to understand, to realize, also today, okay, the Hebrew nation won't be able to come to the next stage of the prophecy, to bring the prophecy to the world without also the combined joint of the Noahide movement growing up, getting strong, and being part of this. It won't happen without it. You need to understand that you're part of it.
Yeah. You know, a great
Wow.
book
Amazing.
that helps me to realize Hashem's attributes of mercy, it's Tomer Dvora, you know, like of
Wow,
Rabbi Moshe.
the book
book.
Tomer Torah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing a series with Rabbi Poston on Tomer Devorah. We did number 11 yesterday. Was beautiful, and
Yes.
he really, expounded on kindness to Abraham in number 11. It was just,
Yeah, exactly.
amazing.
I'm on this one. Yeah, I'm on 11th as well right now. But anyway, it's my table book for second year. I'm just, learning. I'm writing messages to my loved ones, with those attributes, description. Yeah.
The Tomer Dvorah book is taking the 13, I will say, ways how God is
Attributes of mercy, yeah.
working in this
Right,
world, and
right.
showing how we as human beings also can do those things and bring them to alive in our
Yeah.
life.
In this world, yeah.
For me, I'm trying to copy Hashem's attributes in my life. This is what I'm trying to do right now,
Exactly. This is what God is
especially when
asking
it
us
comes to forgive. Yeah.
This is one of the most hardest things that we have. Yes. Fair enough.
I'm trying to
I hope it was clear enough tonight. I don't know. I hope.
Yeah.
For me, Rabbi, it was it was beautiful. I don't know if anybody else. Last chance for any questions. Anybody in the Zoom room? No, we seem quiet. So, Rabbi, Hashem
fine.
willing, are you aiming to do a class next week?
Yes, hopefully, yes. We will have also a class next week. As this week also, we'll publish before that exactly what we're going to speak about, hopefully. And have a great week, everybody. Thank you very much for attending, for coming. for
All
being
right,
part of-
folks.
Shavua
So
tov.
that's our Genesis class for this week. We're going to sign out. Thanks for everybody attending on the Noahide World Center YouTube and Facebook page. And we wish you all a wonderful, wonderful week.